Hello and good afternoon. We appreciate your joining us again, or for the first time for those of you who are new to the group. My name is Mark Nye. My wife Shelley and I live in Marple Township, Pennsylvania. We hope you've been making progress in your early efforts to document your family history. Our intent is to teach you the basics of doing this in bite-sized pieces so that you can feel successful. Please remember that all of our sessions are recorded and posted on our group page and on YouTube, so that you can watch them as many times as you need or want. We certainly appreciate many of you sharing our video lessons with others. Spreading the joy of engaging in family history results in so much good in the world. Today, we're going to talk about several ways to view your family tree. As we prepared for this session, my memories of climbing trees as a boy came back vividly to my mind. I thought about how different a tree looks when you're standing on the ground looking up versus when you're sitting high in its branches, looking out and around and down. So today we want to teach you how to, quote, climb around your family tree. You'll be amazed at the views. Shelley.
Hi, I'm so glad you could be here today and glad we could. I am going to show you different ways you can view your tree on FamilySearch.org, and then I'm also going to show you a group I created in Relative Finder, where if you decide to join that group, you'll be able to see how you're related to other people in our Family History of Greater Philadelphia group. So to get started, I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go to FamilySearch.org. This is my grandmother. I'm going to view her tree. And as you can see right here, I have the landscape view. This is up here in this corner, landscape view. And this is the main position right here. I have got my grandmother in the main position. She's married to Eric Kilmer Peterson, and I can drop down and view her children. One other thing to note about the landscape view is it's typically a default, and you will see descendants on this side. So that's the same list of her children that you saw in the drop-down menu. On the right-hand side, you will see ancestors. So this is Mary Alvey's parents, and this is Eric Kilmer Peterson's parents right here. I do want to just point out a little bit of navigational. Now this is true on all the different views that you may use on Family Tree. There's the home button, which takes you to putting you, or me, it would be me, in this main position. This little button allows you to use your keys, so you can click around with your keyboard keys to move the tree. This goes to full screen, which you may want to use if you're using a large screen TV and showing other people. And this is your basic plus, make it bigger, and narrow, making it narrower and smaller is the minus. I can also just drag it around with my mouse. So those controls are the same on every option there. On the other side too, that we do have options, and if I click this drop down, you'll be able to see that I have checkmarked a variety of things here. So these are things that I'm going to be able to show, and those are available on most views options also. So to get started here, I want to show you just a little bit more about a variety of other views. The portrait view may be one that you enjoy using, especially if you're coming from Ancestry and you're an Ancestry user. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller here. And you can see that now my grandparents here are in the center, and their ancestors go up. Here's my grandmother's parents, her grandparents, and here's my grandfather's parents and grandparents. And their children are listed along the bottom. That is definitely a view that some people enjoy. This is my favorite view. This is the fan chart view. And I want to show you it simply. First, you can just show the generations. Notice up here on this menu, I've got 4 generations, so I'm going to actually make that just a little bit bigger, and just so you can see it better there. Got my grandmother in the middle, her mother, mother's parents, and her grandparents there. This is my grandmother in the middle, her father, her parents, and her grandparents. It shows just a little bit of descendancy. I can see her husband and her children listed. Notice there's an arrow here because she had 9 children. This is only showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children. So if I click this, it will show the additional children. So it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is called the family lines view, and it is divided up by color. The one part that's really fun is to go and watch the next generation. So it recreates itself and gets bigger. That's 5 generations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can go to 6 generations right here. And at that point, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so you can see them all. And then I can even go to 7 generations. Notice with each generation, they actually show a little less here on this outside line. But still, it gives you a wonderful way to be able to view this tree. Some of the things that I really like about it are, notice up here at the top on this outside ring, I can see where the blanks are. That means that there's nobody there. Mary doesn't have parents. John Taharan doesn't have parents. Martha doesn't have a mother, has a father. So I can see where I need to add more information into the tree. Just to make this now a little bit smaller so you can see it, I want to show you another kind of fun feature. Notice right down here on the fan chart view, underneath it they give me a menu. So I'm going to click on birth country, and now it changes colors. Over on the right side is a legend here. So the white ones obviously are the unknowns. They're not sure where they came from or where they were born. So every person here is coded by their birth location. So Sweden here is that rust color, and there's only one person from Sweden. That was her husband. He was a direct immigrant from Sweden. And then notice the English ones are kind of a lighter gold, and all of these other ones are United Kingdom. Her father, John Alvey, came from England, the United Kingdom. And so I think, well, why are some English listed and some are United Kingdom? And that's because, remember, it's coded by how their birth date is listed on their person page. So for example, here's Elizabeth Richardson. I'm going to click on that, and it shows her birthplace as Nottinghamshire, England. It shows her death as Arnold, Nottinghamshire, England, United Kingdom. So I could go in and correct that birth on her page, and then she would be listed as that coral kind of orangey color that you see with the rest of them. This white one here is interesting because it does not show a birth location at all. That's an error that I need to correct because there are 6 sources listed on his page. He has a spouse, he has children, he has parents that were all born in England. And so that gives me a pretty strong clue with those sources. I can go in and add that birth date and be able to have this probably be a solid block of all United Kingdom. Notice over here, I think this is kind of an interesting fact. All of these are kind of a goldish color, and it says British Colonial America. So it's very date specific. British Colonial America started in 1776. And so all of these people would have been born during that time period before the United States actually was a country. These, however, were born after that location in time, and so they would be United States listed. Another feature that I really enjoy about this fan chart view, I'm going to zoom up so you can see. Oh wait, let me show you just a couple more things here. Okay, I'm going to go to sources down the menu here. This will show me how many people have sources attached to them. It's also coded by number. So for example, over in this right menu view, this option here, I can see the brightest kind of goldish color is 10 plus sources. Then I can see how many people on that fan chart have 10 plus sources. Can tell if some people don't have any because they are white. Those are people that I'd probably want to be able to source and go to. The more sources, the better. The same color coding is used on stories. I can tell that I have stories on several people. Some of them have 1 through 4, and some of them even have 10 plus. Same thing on photos. I can identify how many people have photos. Actually, there's quite a few photos. The photos can be just a headstone. So if you've been to the cemetery and you take a picture of the gravestone, post it on there, it's considered a photo. And you can see most of these people are going to be gravestone pictures. The last one here, we're going to be talking more about this on next week. The menu over here calls it Research Helps and Record Hints and Data Problems. So we'll be discussing record hints next week, and that's showing you how to easily document people in your tree. There's a lot of blue squares out there. I'm excited to go and be able to document more people. The last feature I want to show you on the fan chart view, I'm going to scale it up here and move it up here so that you can clearly see Mary in the middle. Mary's in the middle, her mother is Margaret Leah, and her grandmother is Patient Sybil Groves. You notice as I hover my mouse over this name right at the bottom, there's a band there, a dark gray band. Inside that is a fan chart. If I click in this, that will change patients to the center of the fan chart. You notice now in the middle it's Patient Sybil Groves, and Mary would be listed down as farther down as a descendant. So now I get a whole different view of opportunity to see birth countries, and I get opportunity to see sources. It's eliminating all of those on birth country. It's eliminating all those people from England. These people are from different places. Many more of them are British colonial America. The one other thing I did want to show you on this viewpoint, and I'll turn it back to family line so you can see that easily. There is this little descendancy. It's like a tail of the fan chart. Notice right here that patients defaulted to Llewellyn Harris as her husband. He is her second husband, but remember last session I showed you that little preferred mark? He is my second great-grandfather, so I have checkmarked that husband of hers as being my relative. So he shows up on the tree as a default being there. And notice there's an arrow over here. As I roll my mouse over that, you'll see that dark gray. If I click that, that shows me her first husband. So I can see both of them in that view. Notice down here are 3 children. Those children are the children that she had with her first husband. As I click back over this arrow now and go back to Llewellyn Harris, you can see that she's listed as having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children. They actually had 6, so I can click on this arrow and it will show me that additional child that they had. So that's an additional feature that you can see on the fan chart view. I'm going to scroll that back down just a little bit. I want to show you the last view. It's called the descendancy view. Now remember, who's in the middle is Patient Sybil Groves. So I want to see more of her descendants. So if I click my drop down arrow, I can go to descendancy, and it's going to default to just showing Patience and Llewellyn and her first husband, John Rhys Davies, and their children. Notice there's a whole bunch of little arrows right to the left of their names. So I could say Margaret Leah Harris is my great-grandmother. I can click that arrow and it will drop down and show me John Alvey is her husband, and then it shows her children. There's Mary Alvey, my grandmother. Some of these people, these 3 people actually died in the Spanish flu, and so they did not have descendants. So I can expand this to more generations. So notice here, if I click on the 2nd generation, the 3rd generation, I'm going to expand it down. So now I see Patient Sybil Groves, her husband Llewellyn Harris, their first son James, his wife, and children. Notice if I go down to the next generation down, then it will show Patience, her husband Llewellyn, their first son James, his wife Effie, and then their oldest daughter Althea Harris and her husband. So you can see it continues to show me down the generations. One of the really nice parts about this are it shows me record hints over here, which we'll be discussing more next week. But you can see it's pretty long by the time we scroll it all the way down. They had a lot of descendants, a lot of children, and I can see 4 generations of descendants just by scrolling down this list. So that's the different ways that you can see a variety of views of your tree. There is descendancy, there's the fan chart, There's portrait and landscape. Typically, you will find landscape being your default view when you sign on. But if you end up liking the fan chart view and you leave it on there, and when you sign on, that will probably be your default then is fan chart. Whichever one was the last one that you used the most often will typically show up. Okay, so now I want to show you a totally different experience. We're going to go to the Brigham Young University Family History Technology Lab. Brigham Young University is a church-owned university by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and so they sponsor Brigham Young University. Recently, my husband and I had the great opportunity to become acquainted with Bill Barrett. He's a professor there at Brigham Young University that was responsible and leading the team to get this technology lab off the ground and has been instrumental in FamilySearch technology for many years. It was a great pleasure to talk with him. And as we discussed a little bit about what we were doing, we talked about Relative Finder. If you've been to my classes in the center, you probably would have heard about me talk about Relative Finder. It's one of my favorite places to go. I want to show you that now, and something that would be, I think, a fun activity for us as a group. So I'm going to click here on Relative Finder. Do you notice there's a lot of activities, games you can play, there's research helps and a variety of things that you can look at on the BYU Technology Lab. But as I click on Relative Finder, it highlights it, it puts it in the center for me, gives me a little screenshot of what it looks like. But I'm going to click right here where it says Go to Relative Finder. Now, all of these activities are going to connect with your FamilySearch account. So they're going to draw information from your FamilySearch account. So I click on Relative Finder, and it says I need to log in. So when I log in, it's going to take me to FamilySearch. Has my sign in there, I click sign in, and now it's going to bring me back to Relative Finder. And they're going to make this a personal experience for me and show me in the center section all the relatives that I have that I'm related to. These are, they're grouped, and some of them are famous people and some of them not so much. Let me show you some examples here. So as I look at this list of relatives, I can see right over here what group they belong to. That's on the right side. So the top one here is my 10th great grandfather, Governor William Bradford, and he was on the Mayflower. So I think, oh, that's interesting. I see Mayflower a few other places. I wonder how many people from the Mayflower that I am related to. So I come over to this left list. This list is a list of all of the groups. So I find Mayflower right here, check mark it, and now it's just going to show me those people that I am related to who were on the Mayflower. So I can see my 10th great grandfather, 11th great grandfather and mother, another 11th great grandfather, and a 12th great grandfather. So that looks pretty fun, but I think, well, gee, how am I really related to them? You know, in fact, I didn't really know I was related to William Bradford till I came on Relative Finder. So I clicked on his name, and now it's going to show me exactly how I'm related. On the left-hand side is a picture of me as a child. People don't usually see that because it's a private one, but I had my dad's cowboy hat on. And on the right is William Governor Bradford. So as I scroll down this chart, notice that he's at the top. William Bradford is right here, and his wife, Alice Cooper. They had a child called William Bradford. He married and had a child called Samuel Bradford. They married Hannah Rogers and had Perez Bradford. And then he married Abigail Belcher. And they had a child named Abigail Bradford. Sorry, all the A's. And so then I can follow this down and follow from father to mother. And pretty soon I get down to here. It's mother, 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 daughter, mother, daughter. Until I come down to there's Mary Alvey, my grandma, my mother, and to me. So I can actually trace the generations exactly how I'm related to him. Now, if I was looking at someone who was a once removed, it would show me, or if it was a cousin, it would show me our common ancestry up and then show us our common ancestor. However, since this is direct, it shows me directly how I'm related. I'm going to click the back button here. And I want to show you a variety of other things just to kind of highlight. They have astronauts, authors, entertainers, signers of the Declaration. In fact, one man who came into the center, we were able to locate his, verify his line so his children could participate in a group through using Relative Finder. There's US presidents and a variety of other things. As I uncheck that, it will show me everybody again here in a group. The one that I want to highlight now for you is I have created a community group. This is an open, free, public group to everyone, and I'm inviting all of you who are part of our Family History in Greater Philadelphia Facebook group to join this group. We have posted a link as an announcement on our site, so you just simply have to click that group. Let me show you what it looks like at this point. Since we haven't advertised it, the only ones on the list right now is my husband. So let me show you here. I am related to my husband, and it shows a 12th cousin one time removed. I have to say, though, that other connections have shown me to be a 13th cousin, so it kind of, there's so many relatives there that intermix, it may show you a variety of paths. So I'm going to click on his name, and notice now it's going to show me our common ancestor was the Davenport, C. Davenport and Jane Gerard, born in the early 1500s. As I go down this side, I'm going to see me at the bottom. As I go down this side, I'm going to see my husband at the bottom. So now there's my husband, his father, and it goes up to his grandfather, great-grandfather, and on like that. And for me, it goes to my father, my grandfather, and then over to my grandmother and up the line like that. So we can trace exactly our lines and see how we are related to each other. I think this would be a really fun idea for several of you to join the group, and we could find out how we're related to each other as we work on family history together. So what will happen if you decide to join the group, you would look at it, click on the link. It would take you directly to your FamilySearch login, because you remember it's drawing information from your FamilySearch account, and then it would take you to Relative Finder and should allow you to immediately join the group. If it doesn't, let me show you how you can do that. Up here in this corner right here on the right side, you can see groups. It's a drop-down menu, and I click join right here. Then I would search for it and put in Family History in Greater Philadelphia and click search, and there it is. It popped right up, and then I would be able to click on that. It says you're a member of this group, but if you wanted to join it, it would give you the option to join. So another valuable thing that I have found on Relative Finder is this connect feature. So in the drop down menu right here from connect, it shows you how you can connect with people nearby, with a friend, with a deceased person, or two deceased people. I have found this very helpful as I'm trying to identify, I have this deceased person and I think they're related to this person, but I don't know how. And being able to put in their ID numbers here from FamilySearch into two deceased people, it gives me a great way to be able to identify how people are related to each other. So there's a lot of other things that you can click around on in Relative Finders. There's a lot of fun things you can join, and we encourage you to be able to do that and join with us in our group. It's a lot of fun, and you can see maybe how you're related to US presidents. I think I have like 36 I'm related to. So George W. Bush, my 9th cousin, pretty direct there, and that was kind of a fun thing to identify. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and Mark, we'll go back to you. There we go.
Thank you, Shelley. That was fun. You know, as I've expanded my family tree and FamilySearch, I've experienced a very strong feeling of belonging. Not only do I feel that I am an important part of my own immediate or living family, I feel stronger and stronger connections to my family in generations gone by. Because we believe that our family relationships are intended to continue beyond this life, it is all the more important that my family here on earth is central to my life now. Thinking about my larger family tree in this way reminds me of a scripture in the New Testament. The Apostle Paul, in teaching the Athenians, said, God hath made of one blood all nations for men nations of men for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their inhabitation. We are in fact all one family, brothers and sisters, children of God, regardless of when or where we have lived. Following Shelley's lead today, we hope each of you will take time to climb around your family tree. Explore the different ways to view and gain appreciation for your own family and the information you are gathering about them. I can promise you that as you add more family members to your tree, the views will become more expansive and beautiful. And as you join our group on Relative Finder, we look forward to learning more about how we are connected to each other. As Shelley mentioned, the link to join our group is posted on our Facebook group page. Please join us on Tuesday. Our next session will be about photographs bring ancestors to life. We'll see you then. Thanks.
Bye.